Hey, it's Terika
and Isila
with another episode of Eyes to See. I hope you're ready.
Yes, we are going to dig in, and we have an icebreaker that I'm so excited about. All right, so Terika, this segment is called Time for a Little Jokey Joke. Mm-hmm. And it's your job to try not to laugh.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's start up with a sip of coffee. 1 point for me. Okay.
Love keep no records.
Okay, let's see here. So I'm going to tell some jokes. They're all clean.
Well,
all right.
Yeah, I hope
they're all
so.
clean. They're all super clean. Mm-hmm. But they're funny.
And I'm not supposed to joke.
I mean,
laugh?
You might laugh. I want you to laugh.
Okay.
But you got to try not to laugh.
So are we keeping a score?
Kinda.
Who does the winner get?
I don't know.
Another cup of coffee?
Another cup of coffee, yeah. Okay, so ready? Time for a little jokey joke.
Okay. You got jokes.
All right. So, Terika. Mm-hmm. Did you hear the news?
What news?
They found Adam and Eve. They were frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they knew it was them because they didn't have belly buttons.
Ha ha ha.
Do you get it?
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Okay. So that one was kind of dumb, right?
Well, dumb, it was just like silly because I feel like everybody's heard that. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just me.
It could be. I don't know. It could be just we're in that circle where you hear Christian jokes. Okay. Here's another one. Mm-hmm. Why didn't they play cards on the ark?
Why?
Because Noah was always standing on the deck.
You're so... Oh my gosh.
All right. Okay. You ready? Mm-hmm. All right. Who was the best businesswoman in the Bible?
Am I really supposed to try to answer this?
I mean, sure.
I don't know. Esther?
Why would you think it was Esther?
I mean, I don't want to call her a heifer, but that girl marched up in the throne room.
She did. She
was negotiating. Hey, king.
She went to the Shark Tank. Okay, well, no, that's not correct. The best businesswoman in the Bible was Pharaoh's daughter because she went to the bank of the Nile and drew out a little profit.
Where do you come up with this stuff?
You know, I'm funny.
Yeah, she be pulling jokes on our Bible study group, and people really think she's telling us a story. She'll be like, "Ha ha, nope."
Gotcha. Okay, here's the last one.
Okay,
saved the best for last.
Am I not supposed to look?
Yeah, don't look at it. I'm gonna tell you the joke, and
okay, I'm not looking.
Okay.
I can't even see it.
This is one that came from me. Okay, I didn't look this one up. You ready?
Okay.
So, Boaz, we know Boaz?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
The one every woman wants?
Yeah. He's always talked about so highly in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Truth is, he used to be ruthless.
Savage.
Do you get it?
I can't stand you. You don't even know what... Do you even know where that... He's like... Because for a second, I was like, oh, he's savage. No. He ended up marrying a woman named Ruth. But before Ruth, he was ruthless.
Yes.
Girl.
I've been waiting on that one all night. Oh my gosh.
So
I was
she
like,
came
thank
up
you,
with
Holy
it?
Spirit, for that joke. Thank you. Okay, so now that the ice is broken
down.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
So the truth about marriage versus
fantasy.
the fantasy that we all grew up thinking it's going to be.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what did you think it was going to be?
I mean, okay. So, I mean, in our last videos, we talked about Disney. I was a Disney baby. Like, I was an adult when my mom told me, she was like, yeah, I sat you down in front of Little Mermaid to get you to so I could do your hair. And I literally just took that on as a identity. Never knew that. And then it was just like, oh, all you need is love. You know, you can work everything out as long as you love the person. And that is not, I found out, like, it's just more. It takes more. Like, yeah, love is the foundation, but it's just like, you know, okay, how is love going to get you through those disagreements you never thought you would have? You know, those moments where something happens and it kind of shakes you up and you're like, whoa, what do I do with that?
Didn't see that coming.
Right? And like, you're crying your eyes out and you're starting to think, whoa, who's this person I married?
Yeah. So, like, for me, what I thought it was going to be, I thought, you know, I'm going to wear these, like, light blue plaid A-line dresses with aprons and be cooking muffins and cookies and turkeys and, yeah, and we're going to have, like, a little tiny, like, white multi-poo and a big yard, and I get to hang clothes up on the clothing line and stuff like that. Yeah, because I grew up, like, watching, like, June Cleaver and things like that.
Oh, black and white.
Yeah, I grew up on black and white TV a lot of times. And so for me, that's what I expected. And I expected my hair to be, that my hair would be like straight and in an updo. I never really put two and two together that I had super curly hair.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what you see is really important.
Yeah, I got my idea of what marriage was going to be from TV. Yeah.
And if you didn't see the last couple of videos we did talking about movies and the things that are really behind the scenes, it is really important that you're not basing your life off what you see on TV.
What I wish had happened is I wish that as I was growing up that I'd had a biblical idea of what marriage was supposed to be.
And this is like hindsight is 2020 type of thing.
Right. Hindsight is 2020, or like going to the future, what I'm going to teach my children. And what you can teach your children. And what you can teach your children. But what it is to me now is, to me, actual marriage is not like this horrible thing to me.
No.
I think it's quite beautiful. It's an accomplishment. Like, I don't need to sit in front of a video game to get a sense of accomplishment.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people do that. They'll like play these role player games or whatever to feel like they won at life.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And then if that's you, that's cool, whatever. That's just not me. I really get like a huge sense of accomplishment out of having a solid marriage. And that doesn't mean it's happy every day. That
Not
means,
at all.
Yeah, it just means like, wow, we are doing this. We are really, like, we're doing it. We're making it through, and we both agree.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that wasn't easy, but here we are.
I think it's easy to look at it now where we are and see what God wants us to have marriage as, like how he wants us to do it. And like, if any of you are watching and either you've been divorced or you're currently married, you might be having like marriage troubles, or you might be really stressed out. It may sound weird hearing us talk about it like this. But, you know, we all are in different positions. Like, we're all at different places. And so we're not coming from you as like, oh, we've figured everything out and, oh, our marriages are perfect. I mean, that's another thing. I wish I would have consulted God first before I got married.
Yeah. But no marriage is perfect.
Oh, never. Not even those people that God is like, yeah, cool. I think this, I approve of this person.
Yeah. And it's like, for every time you see somebody and you want to be, you know, jealous of their relationship, you're really only seeing, like, for example, let's look at a cake, a perfectly done, beautiful cake.
Yeah.
You see this beautiful cake. You might even get to eat this beautiful cake.
Yeah.
But you didn't see the hours of work that went into constructing the cake, the chemistry, the detail that went into it, the being careful, the mistakes that were made during making the cake,
the pieces that were thrown away and remade.
You didn't see all of that, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the way marriage is, and how you just can't just look at the outside and just assume that, you know, it started this way.
Yeah.
It started as separate ingredients that got carefully mixed together, and there was mistakes, and you had to fix them. You had to add a little extra of this or take a little of that out, and oops, oh my goodness. You know, there's preparation involved.
Or the journey that the person making the cake went through to get to make that beautiful cake.
Yeah.
Because they didn't start out making beautiful, gorgeous cakes.
No, and somebody had to order that cake. I'm just saying.
A whole other story.
But like, you know, it's just that. It's like we can't sit here and judge anybody's relationship, and you can't look at something that looks really bad to you and assume that it's bad for the people involved. Yeah. Because they might be really happy in what looks like chaos to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I know there's like people who, to me, it looks like their life is just absolutely chaotic. Isila would probably not do well in that environment. But they love it. They're like, this is my beautiful family, and we work perfectly this way, and we're not changing it for anybody. We're more concerned with like quality of time than we are with making sure every sock has a match. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. These are the extremes. Like, I'm to make sure every sock has a match, and I'll sacrifice a date night.
You have a mesh bag for your socks, don't you?
No.
You don't?
No,
you
but...
should get one.
No, but I can't... I have a hard time sleeping. I won't say I can't sleep. I have a hard time sleeping if I am missing a sock.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, we don't believe there's a sock monster. That's not the truth. What did you do with your sock?
You know what I just thought of? So you know how people like swingers, right?
Oh.
I mean...
Okay.
No, I'm just saying like...
You mean pineapple in the yard type people?
You know what?
That's what I've heard.
I don't know. Never heard that. I think you were the one who said something about it.
Well, not that my neighbors do that. I don't know, but they're the ones that told me.
Oh, somebody told you. Yeah. Well, my thing is like people do this and they're like, we're happy doing this. And then there's that scripture that says the heart is deceitfully wicked. And
desperately wicked.
Who could know it?
And deceitful above all. We are butchering that scripture, but it's like the heart is desperately wicked and deceitful above all else, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. And so
who could know it? And so like I've heard so many people like pastors and preachers and stuff or street preachers, and they'll say, you know what you're doing is wrong. You know, and then you have to look at it from the other person's perspective. Like, because we know, you know, that your conscience will tell you there's moments when you're alone and you're like, oh man, this is just like, I'm so miserable. But the other side, they're like, this feels good to me. This doesn't seem wrong. I'm happy doing this. But to me, I'm like, okay, swingers, okay, long story short, you have a married couple and they go out amongst other married couples in this specific place and they sleep with other people's partners.
They swap spouses.
Yeah,
basically.
But the thing is, it's only physical, and that's a big thing. But they're like, oh, it's only physical. I'm like, well, why are you married? Yeah. You know, like to me, I can't understand it.
I'm not wired that way because, honestly, here's where I think it takes my mind. My mind has been renewed. Yeah. Okay. My mind has not been turned over to a reprobate mind.
Right.
And
can you explain what reprobate is?
It means you just don't have a mind of Christ. So the wicked in your life is really what's commanding your mind. And that's not how my mind is. I would have I just can't even let my head go there. It's not right to me. It's disgusting to me. To even think about being with anybody else or to think of him being with anybody else. I just can't even go there. But when I think about people doing that in their marriages, when you said it's just physical, it's not.
Right.
It's not, because the Bible does talk about when you, even like if somebody was to sleep with a prostitute, it says, you fool, don't you know that when you lie down with a prostitute that you become one flesh?
One, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a spiritual connection. That's how you create a soul tie. So now you've got where marriage is supposed to be a 3-cord, right? Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be a braid between me, my husband, and God.
Yeah.
Now you've added all these other people in, so now you've got like this fishbone or something. You've got other influences in your marriage.
Yeah.
How do you keep up with all of these other influences? I think you just ignore it, and then one day it comes to a head, and on the outside maybe you're a beautiful cake, but on the inside you're being held up with pieces of cardboard.
So I heard there's this one guy, I don't even remember his name, came across him on YouTube. He gave his testimony, and the really short version is he used to be gay. And he came across these people in a coffee shop, and they had a Bible, and he was like, I've never really seen one of those.
Oh, wow.
And so he started talking to him, and they were like, come to our church. And he was like, he ended up sitting on the front row.
Oh, wow.
And the presence of God just smacked him in the middle of the service. And
How
he
cool.
was just like, it just felt wrong. But he said when he was a teenager,
What felt wrong?
like being gay.
Oh,
to him, he had this experience.
So he felt that his lifestyle was sinful.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just had an uneasiness about it for himself.
Yeah.
And he said that he couldn't go forward in it. Wow. And it was crazy. I was like, dang, that's like, wow.
That's awesome.
But he said when he was a teenager and he first started encountering other guys that he would sleep with, he was like, there was a sense of shame. But he said the more he did it, the more like numb he got to that sense. And I was like, wow, hearing someone who lived in something. Okay, so I had experienced that at one point.
Okay.
That lifestyle.
Yeah.
When I was younger, which was really confusing.
Yeah.
But for somebody to come from their own perspective and say, hey, I went through this. Hey, I felt this, but I ignored it. And then when I changed my mind later on in life, because God made me feel a conviction, it's like, wow. So he was fine with it until God was introduced to him. Not because somebody told him, hey, you're doing something wrong.
And that's actually the in the Bible when it talks about he will turn you over to a reprobate mind. That's the actual sin he's talking about, is homosexuality. He's like, he's going to knock on your door for so long, and then you choose sin over and over and over again. And that's the one that he mentions. If you follow that lifestyle, I'm going to turn you over to a reprobate mind. And people don't know how serious that is. That's a big deal to get turned over to a reprobate mind.
It is. And that is one huge one. It's a major one. But then you have people with pride. And then they're like, oh, well, I'm not sexually immoral, so I'm good. But it can come with lying. It can come with greed. It can come with all types of different perversions. And the more you go against what doesn't feel right or what you know in your conscience isn't right, you just start thinking, cool, I'm cool with this.
Well, this is what reprobation means in Christian theology. It says it's a doctrine which teaches that a person can reject the gospel to a point where God in turn rejects them and curses their conscience. Like, so that icky feeling.
Yeah.
For example, when I was a kid, I used to lie a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who had that experience. Like, you're a
Right.
kid and you never got called on your crap, so, like, you would just keep doing it because it got you what you wanted. And so I would lie a lot when I was a little kid, and I would feel bad about it, but not bad enough to stop
Right.
because I really valued what I was getting out of it. And it's the same situation here. It's like my conscience was cursed because I felt bad about it. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but he'll reject you for constantly choosing to value what you get out of a thing over him.
Girl, it reminds me, there is a verse in Ezekiel. I might have it underlined, I might not, but it basically says that those of you that reject me, I will reject your children. And I was like, when I read that for the first time, I was like,
Are you sure it's not Hosea 4 and 7? 4 and 6?
well, I know I was reading Ezekiel one day, like, and the only way I can describe it is like the Lord put it on my heart to read that, and I came across it, and I was
Well,
like,
While you're looking for that, Hosea 4 and 6, a lot of people leave off the last part of that verse. Everybody usually only picks up the first part, which is, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. There's a whole nother part of that verse that says, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
that's it.
That thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children.
Yeah.
So people, it's saying you're destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And then it goes on and it expounds upon, you know, a lot of people don't have knowledge because they reject the knowledge. I mean, so you're hearing it now, like there's a Bible that has all of this knowledge in it, and if you don't act on that and go after that knowledge, you're not off the hook.
Yeah.
Like, you have access. You're not in China where you have to sneak a Bible.
Bro, don't get me started on that.
You're not in India where you have to sneak a Bible.
Yeah.
You're not in some African villages where you have to sneak a Bible. So that's my thing. It's like, you're going to let yourself and your children be destroyed because you don't want to open this book of truth.
Yeah.
But we are, you know, we're just so fortunate to be where we are in the world.
Yeah.
It's not fortune, it's a blessing.
It really is.
It's a blessing. I mean, okay, so we're talking about marriage, right?
Yeah, we got a little off.
Yeah, we got a little bit, but that's okay. But we're talking about marriage, and there's something about marriage that I think a lot of people, when you get into marriage,
Yeah.
there's these certain Bible verses that a lot of people like. There's like the women's movement or whatever. What is that, feminist movement? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't subscribe
And
to.
it started one way, and it turned into something completely different.
Yeah, it's different now. So, like, where the Bible's like, women, submit yourselves to your husband.
Oh
blah,
my
blah, blah.
gosh.
And a lot of women get, like, super offended by that.
Yeah.
I don't. Because, let me just say, when you serve your husband, even if he's not serving you back,
Right.
by nature, by the way human beings are designed, if you serve him, eventually he's gonna be like, wow, I have a good wife.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Sometimes it might be short, might be long. Depends on the person.
Yeah, well, especially if he wasn't raised to believe this way.
Oh,
So-
yeah. That's true.
So I'm just talking about like human nature. So you do something nice for somebody enough times, nice, they're eventually gonna receive it and be like, wow, you're really nice, and I want to do something nice for you too. That's just human nature.
And sometimes you have to take a break from that person for them to see that.
Sometimes, but like, so
not marriage, but like just relationships, friendships
yeah.
and stuff.
So this
sometimes.
is marriage where
Right.
you don't get to take the break. Like, that's not your first option. Let's not even go into like problematic. Let's just talk about in general. Like,
Yeah.
let's be in general. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy.
But if we're in general, like, you can apply this to a problematic marriage as well.
Right.
So,
I just don't want people to hear this and be like, oh, well, that person that I'm trying to be nice to, I should just be nice. And then,
No, this is about marriage.
yeah.
This is like, you got married, you are married, you file your taxes together jointly, all that. Okay. You got the ring, all of it. Okay. So, if you serve your spouse as a wife,
Yeah.
if I serve my husband and I submit to him,
Right.
basically, I'm not out there being like, I don't care what he says. I can do whatever I want. Hold up.
Yeah.
It works better if you do it like this. If you're like, hey, husband, I'd like to go do XYZ. What are your thoughts on this?
Right.
And if he says, I don't want you doing that, then I can be like, why not? And we need to talk about it and come to an agreement, because
Right.
I respect him so much that his why not matters to me.
Can you? Okay. Because when I first got married, as a person, I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And so, also as a person growing up, not seeing respect displayed in my household,
Yeah.
I didn't know what respect was. And I'm still learning. But can you, because you've kind of got a pretty good handle on it, respect wise.
I do my best, but I'm not.
Can you explain it?
What respecting your spouse looks like?
Because
My
we're
spouse?
women. Because we're women.
Yeah.
Trying to do our best for God.
Yeah.
Can you explain to the best of your knowledge what respecting your husband is?
Yes. I can say what it looks like.
Well, from your experience.
Yep. So, and I'm telling you these things from what I've learned from personal experience of doing it the wrong way and then applying godly principles and doing it the right way.
Okay.
So first of all, nagging is not respectful at all. It is such a, the Bible says that, that we have the power to either build up a house or tear it down from the inside. And nagging is a good way to tear the house down from the inside. And that the man is better off sleeping on the roof than being inside with a contentious woman. Okay? And so you got to really, we have, as women, as wives, we have to really look at ourselves and be like, okay, am I building my house up when I am complaining constantly? Truth is no.
Yeah.
The truth is, I can easily pick up behind him. If that's the issue, because that's not every woman's issue. Sometimes it's the woman who's got the messy problem. And I'm not saying my husband's messy. I'm not saying that. I'm just using this as an example.
You're talking about me.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm really not. This is just an example.
No, you're fine. That's me. Because in our house, the dynamic is my husband, because he was military and stuff like that. And he was just really more prone to keeping the kitchen clean.
Okay.
Keeping the counters clean.
Yeah.
And like, I'll be like whirlwind and then clean it up after.
Well, every
Or
marriage
later.
every marriage, you've got two people who are used to doing things their own individual way.
Yeah.
And when you come together in one house under one roof, both ways don't usually work. One way or the other.
Yeah.
And there's always compromise involved. So what I'm getting at is, if you've got a spouse, let's just use socks left everywhere. Let's just use, they take their clothes off and they leave them wherever they took them off. Let's
Every
use
man
that.
ever.
I don't know. There's some that don't do that. There are.
From what I heard, they all miss the hamper.
Well, you only know about your husband and I know about my husband. And so we'll just say that, let's just say that's the thing.
Okay.
So me as the wife,
Right.
I should not be like, I can't believe you left this sock here in the middle of the living room. Why is this here? When are you going to get it through your head that I don't like picking up at, you know what I mean? That's abusive. Because you're not just doing it that one time.
Yeah.
You're also doing it for the wet towel on the bed. You're also doing it for the shirt on the floor in the closet next to the hamper. You're also doing it with the hair shavings they left in the sink. You're also doing it. I'm just being real. Like, these are things, you know, these are it's all those little things.
Woo! sorry.
You okay? But it's all...
I caught a chill.
Oh, wow. But it's all those little things that women that we pick up on. We are so nitpicky by nature. We pick at the little things enough times, and the man is so used to being like, I'm not gonna hit a woman, right? Like they're raised like you can't hit a woman.
Yeah.
Most men
Most
are raised that way, and so they naturally just absorb, and
then blow
until
up.
boom.
Yeah, you're like,
And-
oh my gosh, why are you yelling at me?
So let me just say, that's what happened in our marriage.
Oh, wow.
I was this like nitpicky, just every little thing, to where he felt like he couldn't do anything right, and it was really chipping at his self-esteem, and I didn't realize it. Like he couldn't do anything right. I was the one that was, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Why is this here? Why is it there? It was never, can you pick that up? It was like, what's wrong with you? Why would you put that there?
And so did you guys come to a head where you sat down and discussed it?
No. He blew up.
Oh.
He said, I've had enough of you talking to me like that.
Aww.
If you don't quit talking to me like that, I'm out of here, blah, 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 or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And it was much louder.
Oh, of course.
And I was like, whoa. It just shocked me. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I deserved to be talked to like that right then. I deserved it. I felt so bad because I realized that I was recreating behavior that I had seen growing up. And I'm like, whoa, I cannot continue that.
I've noticed my husband does that too. Like if there's times where he wants to keep peace in the home. So if I'm venting and telling him how frustrated I am with certain things, there'll be a period of time where he won't say what he wants to say.
Yeah.
And then randomly over something so super small, or I think is small, will set him off, and he'll just be like, I don't like this and I don't like that, and you've done this and you've done that.
Because he's exploding it all out. So it's our job. We know ahead of time. Like we know that these nitpicking things are not helpful.
Right.
So it's our job to just be quiet and serve our husband and respect him by helping him where he's weak. Clearly, this is a weakness. So I'm going to help him in this area. I'm going to do it quietly. And then I'm going to let him know I love him.
It's so hard to do that without God.
You need God.
Yeah.
It doesn't work without him. If you're doing that without God, you're fake. You're fake.
Yeah.
There's just no way. You're doing it because this is genuinely what I think. You're doing that because you have an insecurity somewhere. And you're like, oh, I just don't want to lose this man. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of another reason why you would do this except to please God.
And if you guys have had any experiences like in marriage or relationships leading to marriage where, you had a different reason for keeping your silence, put it in the comments. Let us know.
Because I might be narrow-minded on the subject.
Well, yeah, because we only know what we've experienced or what we've heard other people say.
Yeah.
So create a conversation in the comments and let us know.
Yeah, because what if my take on it is I was this way before God and I'm this way after God, and that's all I know.
And don't forget to share this video so you can create conversation with others, and subscribe, guys.
Like this is such a healthy conversation to have, because a lot of times as women we are so alone in what we go through.
It's hard.
Because look at the other side. Like we're shielding our husbands from all this like nitpicking.
Yeah.
But imagine all the things we do that they don't tell us. And so there's them. Yeah. I don't know what their experiences is because I'm not them. But
and we're built different.
We're built different. But like me holding in all the nitpicky things, it takes a toll. And so I literally have to go to God and be like, Lord, I'm picking up this sock. You better be happy. I'm picking up this shirt, this wet towel. I'm getting crumbs off the counter. You better be happy with me right now, Lord. I'm not going to say nothing to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because God can handle that. He can handle me complaining to him and thanking him for my husband. Like, that's why I'm so thankful for that man. You know what I mean? But I'm just being real. Like, but God can handle that. But like, okay, so that's one of the ways in the home that I can choose to show respect.
Okay.
But then when we're out in public, a really good way to show respect is not to yell at them in public, not to get an attitude with them in public, not to belittle them and make them the butt of the joke in public.
My facial expressions need help. And
Yeah.
he knows it. He's like, blah, 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 blah. Your face says it all. And I'm like, I can't help it.
God can help you. That's been a big problem in my life too, is like fix my face.
Yeah.
Because I have a hard time being like,
Holding the words in, but your face is saying it for you.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that, that's what you want?
Oh.
That's what we're doing now? Okay.
Yeah.
So I verbally agreed with him, but my face says
Something else.
My face says you're gonna pay for that later.
Oh.
That's tit for tat, and that doesn't go well.
Yeah.
So we have to be very conscious of our actions and inactions.
And also, I don't like it because many men take out of context, submit to your wife. But God designed us a certain way, and
I'm holding up my posture.
oh, okay, I was like, what are you doing?
I know, it looks funny, doesn't it?
So, sorry, I heard something.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, you're good. What? Okay, edit that out.
So you're saying...
So God designed us a certain way. And as the way he designed us, he tells us to do the opposite of how he designed us. So what I mean is men naturally know about respect. That's how they operate. They respect other men. They respect other people when they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so as women, we love naturally. So we love our friends. We love our boyfriends. We love our husbands. And we show love in our own ways. So the man naturally respecting others is commanded to love. Mm-hmm. So when you get married, he's like, you already know how to respect your wife. You need to love her. God, how am I supposed to love her? The way Christ loved the church.
Yep, go research that. He ultimately
Go
died.
research it.
He ultimately died
Yeah.
for the church. So
And
you have to be
so-
willing to lay your life down for her.
Yeah. And so he's like, okay, I touched the men. Women, you naturally love. So you need to respect your husband.
Yeah.
And so it's not, men shouldn't be saying, you got to submit to me and be under me. The neck is also under the head. And just like in every single movie about like a king and his court and the queens, the women always moved things and adjusted things
Yeah.
by talking to the man respectfully, but having her own way of trying to get things done. A lot of those movies are not biblical, but it's an example.
Yeah. And that's like a lot of what people have to go off of, unfortunately, because there's so many failed marriages. And, you know, and when you don't have this like biblical approach to problem solving in your
Right.
marriage, you're going to resort to things that are not biblical and that, you know, teach your children the wrong ways to resolve a problem. For example, arguing out loud viciously, name calling, cussing, sometimes throwing things or hitting each other or whatever, because things escalate in some
Or
households.
physically fighting in front of your kids.
Yeah, all of that. It does not serve to teach your children a healthy model of marriage. So James 1:19 says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath." Every man. That includes the husband and that includes the wife.
Yeah.
You have to be quick to hear.
Yeah.
What are you saying? And then you have to process that. So don't talk right away. Process what you just heard. And then it's not a sin to be angry,
Right. Yeah.
but we are allowed to be angry and sin not. But don't let the sun go down on your anger.
yeah.
Get that resolved.
I try to reinforce that with my husband and myself. I be
Yeah.
talking to myself too.
Oh, trust me, I know.
So
'Cause we love our husbands so much.
I really do.
That's like, he's my best friend.
And so like I'm not even trying to say like I'm perfect. or that I've got everything figured out about this because we're
does?
talking about it.
Who does?
But I always try to tell him because he's like, you make me feel this, you make me feel that. And I'm like, yes, I'm not telling you how you're supposed to feel. Like, I know you're going to have these emotions or these, because men, when we say emotions, they're like, oh, he's soft.
Some of them.
But I try to tell him, like, I'm not trying to tell you how to feel. But what comes out of your mouth and, like, what you do after you get the feeling, that's what's important.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to throw the verse at him.
Yeah, that's just not the way to do it.
I've done it in the past and it did not do anything good.
The best way for us to use scripture in our marriages is not to like use it as the sword of a spirit towards our spouse, but for us to have in our mind and be like, okay, which scriptures apply to me as a wife? And then emulate that.
That's the one thing that the Holy Spirit taught me. Because me and my husband had got to a point in our marriage where it was just a lot of going back and forth. It was like always something where either he was like, or I was like, and so I was like, God, show me where I can fix Hoya. Show me what he needs to do. Give me something for him. And he'll be like, you need to study the Bible.
Yeah, it's us. We have to work out our own salvation. We have to do our part.
Yeah.
And then trust God with the rest. And that's literally what we have to do.
And that was
so
hard.
it's so much easier.
It was hard.
But don't you think it's easier to just focus on yourself than to have to worry about two people?
But I'm saying, like, coming from thinking my husband was a problem.
Oh.
And then God was like, no, you need to fix. Like, you're not quiet.
Yeah.
You're not peaceful. You're nagging. And I didn't even know what that word meant. And so, like, lately I'm understanding. Alexander Pagani said something and it put it in perspective. If two people have two totally different understandings of what something means, you could be talking to somebody and think that they're like, yeah, I agree, but they're thinking something else.
Yeah.
And so we have to literally sit and talk about it and be like, so this is what I mean when I say it. And they'll be like, oh, okay, well, this is what I mean. And so now you understand what the other person thinks.
Yeah.
And you can use it in the context that they're used to.
Yeah.
And that's super helpful. Because I hate that blanket statement. It's all about communication. And I thought that was the truth, which it's just a fraction. So you have to have communication and understanding together.
Yes, you have to be able to understand where they're coming from. And there's so much to put together, Yeah. And only you know what your spouse has told you about how they grew up.
Yeah.
There's those moments, those tender moments when you're alone with them and they'll tell you things or you'll share with them. And so the two of you together, what your weak points are. And it's up to us to really nurture them in those areas and to build them up in those areas. And I don't know what somebody else's spouse needs, but I know what mine needs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just have such a high calling to really nurture them in those ways. And it also it really increases the intimacy between the two of you.
Yeah.
For them to know that they can trust you in that area of their life and vice versa. And it's really beautiful. So knowing that you have that with somebody, it's just really special. And to have a friendship with your spouse too is really just great.
So talking about intimacy, I remembered something and I was like, oh man. So, okay. And this goes for the men. So I'm going to try to make sure I say it right. Okay. So a man is not just gonna, let's say for somebody who just got married, right? We only knew each other for 6 months before we got married. So it was a lot of trust that had to be built. There was a lot of barriers that needed to be broken, and a lot of vulnerability. We had to open up to each other. But the way I heard it is also we're built different. So just like a woman, when her and her husband come together, she, especially if you have kids, you're like, shut the door before you come together as a husband and wife, and I can tell you, my husband's like, it's fine. The kids are asleep. The door. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing anything with you until the door's closed.
Right.
Same way, your husband is not going to open up to you and tell you vulnerable things about him. Right. If he knows you're going to run to your friends and tell your friends.
Oh, you have to respect him
my
that
husband,
way.
He's such and such. He's scared of that. Girl, he does this. And especially if you have friend groups where like everyone hangs out, then it comes out and he's like, you're telling my vulnerable things to your friends.
You're humiliating him.
I'll never tell you anything again. Mm-hmm. And so you can't do that.
No, you have to be able to have trust in those conversations. Otherwise, what do you have?
Well, yeah, because what if your husband is telling his friends, my wife does this for me in the bedroom, she does that, she does it like this. And if it comes out in conversation, you're like, you're telling them these intimate moments we have?
It's very private.
Right.
And usually your friends don't want to know about that. Like, I personally don't want to ever know about anybody's private life like that. I don't care about it. I'm like, I don't want to know.
But I wanted to put it in perspective for both sides, because women are like, oh, it's not a big deal. And so we're built different. We do things different. We feel safe different ways, and from person to person.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And so, like, in closing, like, everybody's got their own unique situation within marriage.
Yeah.
However, if you apply what God says about marriage, it applies to every unique situation. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter how many problems you've had or how perfect your marriage is. It doesn't matter. If you apply these standards to marriage, it works. Yeah. It works. And it's beautiful. And he really loves marriage. He's the author of it. He loves it. Yeah. And the fact that I know that I have a God that cares so deeply about my marriage. Yeah. To where I can be like, I need your help right now. and he comes through.
I mean, I'm not going to give away any details or anything, but I had trauma, like with intimacy. Mm-hmm. And that was a big area for me. Mm-hmm. And so it's wild because we're supposed to acknowledge him in everything. Mm-hmm. But we don't think about everything. Mm-mm. And so it started with having that trauma, and it was like a block. So, my husband receives love. His love language is physical touch. Yeah. And so when we would come together as husband and wife, there would be a block because I'm like, I have trauma in this area. And it was just a huge problem. And so one day I was like, okay, I prayed. And I was like, God help me, do what I'm supposed to do as his wife, because God made sex for marriage. He made that intimacy for marriage, and you become vulnerable when you're husband and wife, and you do that. And so when I tell you, like, all of my problems just melted away, and we just did what we were supposed to do. And I told my husband, I was like, I prayed when we were together. And he was like, no way. Mm-hmm. I was like, you didn't notice a difference? He was like, oh, it was kind of different. Mm-hmm. And so it got to a point where I started inviting the Holy Spirit
into your marriage in that way.
Right. And so it got to a point where, because even leading up to that, he would bring to my mind, and I didn't know at the time it was him. He was like, this is what is supposed to happen in marriage. It's supposed to feel this way, and I designed this for you and him. Mm-hmm. And so it started getting me more comfortable. Yeah. And so it's a place where husband and wife, we're supposed to be vulnerable with each other. We're supposed to be open with each other in that area, because that's how we come together and become closer. And in a sense, before we got married, I mean, like in the very beginning of our marriage, it was such a, like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. Oh my gosh, I have to think this and pretend that nothing is wrong with me.
But so the Holy Spirit comes in and just comforts you in those areas and allows you to feel safe. Yeah,
and now it's like, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm very comfortable with my husband in that way.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and it's like, if I never invited God into it, I would still be struggling internally.
Yeah. I think that's the thing for every single person who's involved in a marriage, invite God in, because he makes it easier. He is on board with marriage. He loves when a man and a woman get married. He loves it. That's what he designed Adam and Eve for.
Yeah.
To get married and procreate, right? And he put them together for a reason. And so he puts us together like that for a reason. And so when we are preparing to get married, the smart thing to do, take it from us, is invite God into that situation. Invite him in. Ask him, is this the right person for me? Is this the direction you want for the two of us? You know, invite him into every detail, every single detail.
When you're considering you like somebody, I wouldn't even say invite God in. You need to be like, hey,
well,
should I even entertain this?
Yeah, I mean, the whole purpose, and this is a totally different topic, but
maybe that was the wrong way to say it.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
No. But when we are dating somebody, if this person is not dating you and you're not dating them with the intent of one day being married, then you either shouldn't be dating that person or you shouldn't be in the dating scene at all.
That needs to be like one of the first conversations you have.
Like, do you ever see yourself getting married?
Yeah.
And if they don't, back away slowly.
Yeah.
Nice knowing you. Let's just be friends. Because honestly, that's the whole point.
It really is. And I've seen this thing. So there's a man, Kevin Samuels. I saw it. He was talking to one woman and she said she considers herself a traditional woman. And he was like, okay, asking her all these questions. And long story short, he said, okay, by your answer, you're not a traditional woman, because traditional women have the goal of marriage and children, and they don't entertain a relationship for a certain period of time without that being established. And so there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with what he says, but that caught my attention.
Yeah.
And so ladies, if you're watching this and you're wondering, or you think you're a traditional woman, you need to reevaluate what is a traditional woman. And if your desire is to be married and have a family, which that's the way it's designed to be, I mean, you might not want to go by that label.
Yeah, just, I would say, read Proverbs 31 and model yourself after that to the best of your abilities, and just let God lead you in the area of romance. And you will save yourself so much heartache.
Oh my gosh.
And confusion and sadness and anger and all of the bad things.
Yeah.
And not to say he won't bring you through something like that.
Oh, he will.
But you'll have him with you through it all, and that's what's most important. You won't be left on your own. So, marriage is really a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You take the good, you take the bad, for better or for worse.
That seems like it's a topic for its own video.
Till death do us part.
For better or worse.
For better or worse.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and there is so much we could talk about with marriage.
Yes.
But all in all.
Right.
All in all. Love my husband. I'm not trading him in. He's my it. He's my it.
I ain't put in all this work to let somebody else reap
That's
the
right.
benefits. God, please.
I know.
And I'm sure he'll say the same thing.
Yes. And you know, like, if y'all ever get to hear my husband tell jokes, he got them all from me.
Oh my gosh.
They're from me. Just saying.
Okay.
Just saying. When he goes to stand up, you're welcome. Unless he's cussing. That's not from me.
She said he ain't get it from me.
All right, you guys, please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things so that we can keep getting this good content out to you. And invite your friends to join the conversation in the comments.
Right.
And we'll be happy to interact with you there.
Yeah. I'm sure each person that watches these videos, someone comes to your mind. Share that video with that person.
Yes, please do. Please do. And if you guys have any suggestions for what you would want us to talk about next, let us know.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will talk to you again soon.
Yep.
And I hope you liked our jokey jokes.
Yeah. We like constructive criticism. Don't be mean. We don't like nasty comments.
Yeah. Well, we can handle them, but whatever.
We prefer them not.
Just be nice.
Yeah, be nice. Share love.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.